That was a very fun Canadian Grand Prix.
There were lots of crashes and last gasp overtakes.
This is our reaction to the 2023 Canadian Grand Prix.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Purple Sector podcast, where today we're going to be talking about the 2023 Canadian Grand Prix. My name's Isa,
And I'm Yusuf.
and we're going to be going through everything that happened in today's race, and also we'll be going through all of our predictions. So, first and foremost, what did you think of the race?
I thought it was a very fun race. There were a few crashes, De Vries being, De Vries. It wasn't wet like the forecast said it would be, but that didn't really change much because it was still a very fun Grand Prix. I generally say that about most Grand Prix because it's Formula One, it's fun, but it was a fun race. It was nice to watch. A lot of overtaking, some last gasp overtakes at the end. Lando with Ocon. Ocon was incessantly blocking him for so long, and then right at the last corner, I think Lando took him, but he did receive the 5 second time penalty, so it didn't really make much of a difference. And then Stroll on the line with Bottas, photo finish, just about made the overtake.
To be honest, I think that midfield from around 7th to like 12th, that was where most of the action was happening. Stroll, Norris, Ocon, Albon. You had Albon being pressurized by Ocon for long duration towards the end of that race, and he really kept it cool to finish P7. And I think he did get the F1 Driver of the Day award as well.
I think he did.
Yeah, so brilliant, but he won it by quite some margin. So brilliant from Albon, yeah, and that midfield where Lando and Bottas were, and Stroll. There was a lot going on there, and they provided an awful lot of entertainment because it was another one of those races where Max Verstappen just there at the top again and again, absolutely smashing it. And today, led every single lap of the race, I'm pretty sure, and there was just no chance for anyone. So, I think the midfield did provide a lot of the action as it has this so far this year.
It was really funny when Verstappen went over the sausage curb and he came on the radio and he was like, "Oh, haha, I went over the sausage curb. I nearly binned it."
Yeah, that
And
just
it just shows just how much
how much fun he's having.
Yeah, he's having in this car and how much he can give and just not lose anything. It's kind of, it shows how much fun he's having, and it also shows just how far he is from everybody else.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty general overview of what we thought of the race. And now going on to our predictions for the 2023 Canadian Grand Prix. So we made these on Friday before practice started. So, they weren't the best predictions, and no, they weren't great predictions.
They're generally on.
Although, to be honest, I had an absolutely brilliant set of predictions for a couple of things. So then starting off with our quali 1, 2, 3. So for me, I went with Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton, and I only got 1 point for that because Verstappen was on pole. And Fernando did get third. He was promoted to second, but that was because Hülkenberg got a penalty. So I don't really get the point for that. So yeah, I do get 1 point for that from Verstappen. And then for you?
I did the same pole sitter, Max Verstappen, and then in P2, Lewis Hamilton, and in P3, Sergio Perez. So again, I only got 1 point.
Yeah.
And then in the race, I also predicted Verstappen P1. In the race, P2, Perez, which was wrong, and P3, George Russell, which was also wrong. So I'm only got 1 point.
I think that race prediction from you couldn't have been further from the truth, with especially with P2 and P3. Russell unfortunately retired.
Yeah.
Had a huge error at the start where he crashed into the wall. He managed to carry on somehow. I don't know how he managed to carry on, but he did. And unfortunately, there were problems with the car. Maybe it was.
It was apparently the brake temperature was just too hot and he couldn't cool it down.
Yeah, there was problems
so
with
they
his
had to
brakes.
box.
So he did unfortunately retire. So yeah, you only get the 1 point for that for Max Verstappen. On the other hand, I got it absolutely bang on. Verstappen P1, Fernando Alonso P2, and Lewis Hamilton P3. Absolutely perfect. Exactly what I said. And I'll get all 3 points for that. So far, I'm leading you. How many points is that? I'm leading you.
So you're leading 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2. Moving on to our most impressive driver. Again, I've gone for Fernando Alonso, and he did get P2. Absolutely solid performance from him.
Is isn't
No, there was
it's
nothing
a
else he could
bit
have
of a
done.
run of the mill.
Yeah, there was nothing else he could have done though. Like P2 is exactly what is the best he could have done. There's nothing else he could have done, and he had a great qualifying as well. So yeah, I think I'll probably get the point for that. Moving on to yours, this can't really be a point because you've gone for Mercedes, and now Russell had a huge crash. He was out, which kind of it kind of
Messed
just
up his
messed
race,
up
yeah.
his race. So you can't really get the point for that because if for it to be a team, both have to do well. And
Hamilton did do pretty
yeah,
well.
but Russell didn't, and so you can't get the point for that because both drivers have to do well. So yeah, I'm still leading you, and I'm winning now 5-2. Then moving on to our most impressive driver.
I have gone for an absolute stinker. George Russell
Yeah,
retired from the race because of a brake issue. So yeah, there's not even a question if I get the point for this. But you definitely, if I don't get the point for most impressive team because we've both gone for Merc.
yeah.
So
So
still 5-2.
neither of us get the point for most impressive team. Then moving on to the most disappointing section, and for my most disappointing driver, I've gone for Sergio Perez, and that is a slam dunk point right there. In the quickest car by far on the grid, he was nowhere near the Ferraris. He didn't make an impact on them at all.
To be
He's
honest, you can't really look at the final standings because he did pit at the end for the fastest lap and he did get the
No,
fastest
but
lap.
even before that, he was just constantly just staying in the same position. He was not catching the Ferraris at all, and obviously, and combine that with his absolutely not disgusting, absolutely horrible starting position. That's got to be a point. So yeah,
My most disappointing driver was Pierre Gasly, and I've definitely got to get a point for this. Gasly spent the whole race behind Alex Albon, the whole race, and just um, was not
no,
able to get
It
past
wasn't
him.
Albon. It was Ocon. Ghazi actually had a worse race because he finished in um because Ghazi finished in P13 actually. So you got that mixed up, and it's actually worse than what he just said because Ocon was the one chasing Albon.
Oh,
And
sorry, yeah.
yeah, so Ghazi actually finished P13. So yeah, I guess I'll have to give you the point for that. Then moving on to most disappointing team, you went for Ferrari, and now that can't be a point because they actually had a pretty good race today. Their strategy was really good. Really surprising. Surprisingly, their strategy was absolutely on point, and yeah, they managed to get a P4 and P5, I think it was, for Leclerc and Sainz. So yeah, you can't get the point for that. And then moving on to my most disappointing team, I've gone for Aston Martin, which can't be a point. Simply put,
No,
Alonso.
that wasn't your most disappointing team. Your most disappointing team was Ferrari.
Oh, sorry, I got that mixed around. Yeah. So my most disappointing team was
Ferrari, which you can't get the point for. You can't get the point for. I wrote that down wrong. It was supposed to be. I was supposed to write Isa Ferrari for most disappointing driver. I wrote it down for myself. So sorry, I wasn't this. So I don't get the point for. Isa doesn't get the point for Ferrari.
neither of us get the point.
Yeah. Well, technically no. Well, because Stroll, Stroll maybe does Stroll count?
No, Stroll. Yeah, no, you can't get the point for that because Stroll had a poor race, but Alonso was brilliant.
Yeah, I guess. So does it stay 5-2?
Yeah, I think it did
Five
stay
three, I
5-2.
think 5-3.
So at the end,
Five is 6-3, I think 6-3.
no, yeah,
No,
it's
because I
6-3. So
yeah.
at the end of our predictions, I am leading 6-3. And yeah, so just talking about the race then, what did you overall think of how the performance was from drivers like Alonso, Hamilton, and Verstappen on the podium? What do you think of that?
I thought Verstappen's pace was very good, very nice. Set the pace for the rest of the field. Hamilton and Alonso were both fighting it out very well. Um, and Alonso was, lifting and coasting at the end, and somehow managed to keep off um, Lewis Hamilton, which was quite good of him. Alex Albon managed to get driver of the day, just confirm that, which was very good from him because he managed to back up that full train, and it was a big train. So yeah, the Ferraris did very well, very weirdly well actually, because they had a very good strategy. Like everybody was saying, "Oh, Ferrari, they've had a bad strategy again," when it was actually a really good strategy. It actually worked a lot better than some other drivers, and then some drivers got really done. by that safety car,
Yeah.
especially Hulkenberg.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Hulkenberg did finish in P15. And yeah, so brilliant performance all around from Max Verstappen. He was just on top for the whole thing. And yeah, I think that's all to say, really. Just looking at Lando Norris, he did get that 5 second penalty. There was some brilliant action with him right at the end. He managed to get into, I think, P8, P8 was it? And then he got demoted, unfortunately, to P13, really far back. He was demoted, was Lando. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say. And now going through the classification for the 2023 Canadian Grand Prix.
So, in P1 is Max Verstappen, P2 is Fernando Alonso, and to round out your podium is Lewis Hamilton. Fourth and fifth come the Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz respectively. Sixth is Perez, not a very good race from him. Albon in seventh, very good performance from him. Ocon is eighth. Stroll ninth after a Herculean effort over the line. Bottas just got passed on the line.
And then for the bottom 10 is Oscar Piastri in 11th, Pierre Gasly in 12th, Lando Norris in 13th with the penalty, Yuki Tsunoda 15th, Hulkenberg 15th, Zhou Guanyu 16th, Kevin Magnussen 17th, Nick De Vries P18, and then the non-finishers George Russell P19 and Logan Sargent P20. So yeah, that rounds it all out. And fair to say, I think it was a pretty great Canada Grand Prix. And we'll see you next time for